Why Community Supporters Fail. A What Am I Thinking training. Written by Ryan Laws. Chapter 1. The Rescue Fantasy. This is not a guide on how to fix homelessness. It is a mirror for people who show up to help. When community supporters step onto the street, they usually bring an abundance of energy and a quiet expectation of gratitude. What they rarely bring is an awareness of their own footprint. This manual is a record of patterns observed over time, not among the people struggling, but among the people trying to save them. It examines how goodwill turns into performance, how proximity becomes tourism, and how unexamined rescue fantasies quietly inflict collateral damage on the very people we came to support. It is not meant to discourage you from helping. It is meant to help you show up, without breaking things. When people first step out of their normal lives and into community support, they rarely arrive with questions. They arrive with answers. They carry food, blankets, warm jackets, and an invisible narrative about who they are and what they are about to fix. I used to think goodwill was enough. I know now that untrained goodwill can be one of the most disruptive forces on the street. Volunteers often mistake their own emotional urgency for a client's practical need. They want to see progress because progress reassures them that their presence matters. Consider a volunteer I will call Clara. Clara showed up every Saturday with hot coffee and pastries. She was warm, consistent, and genuinely kind. For months, she built a rapport with a group of people camped near a commercial block. Then, city sanitation scheduled an enforcement sweep. Clara was horrified. She panicked. She called local council members, posted frantic videos on social media, and urged everyone in the camp to stand their ground and fight the sweep. To Clara, it was a battle for fundamental human rights. To the people living in that camp, it was a disaster. Why? Because Clara's sudden escalation drew intense police attention. It accelerated the eviction timeline, and it triggered retaliation from property owners who had previously tolerated the camp's quiet presence. When the dust settled and the tents were cleared into a loader, Clara went home crying. She was overwhelmed by the injustice of it all. The people whose camp was destroyed were left to absorb the fallout. They did not have the luxury of going home to decompress. That is when I began to understand the difference between solidarity and performance. Performance looks like urgency. Solidarity looks like listening. Many community supporters want to be the catalyst in someone else's story. They want the dramatic turnaround, the before and after photograph, the moment when someone looks at them and says, "You saved my life." That desire is human, but it is dangerous. It shifts the center of gravity away from the person struggling and onto the ego of the helper. When help is driven by the need to feel heroic, it breaks down the moment things get boring, complex, or ungrateful. I saw this repeatedly with church groups and civic organizations. They would arrive with a truckload of supplies. They would distribute those supplies with a speech or a prayer. Then they would leave before sunset. The energy was high. The photos were taken. Yet the next day, the trash was scattered. The logistics were a mess, and the unhoused people were left to manage the tension with local merchants who resented the influx of uncoordinated charity. Intensity is not investment. A single weekend of high-volume charity can create more chaos than a quiet Tuesday.